Think gadget reviews, news, and all about it.
Asus ZenFone AR hands-on review. It's the first phone with both Tango and Daydream, but is the ZenFone AR more than a curio? The ZenFone AR isn't the first Google Tango-enabled phone, nor is it the first to be ready for Daydream. But it's the first to have both Tango and Daydream tech residing in the same phone. Is that interesting? Hell yeah, Tango and Daydream individually have the power to respectively bring the virtual world to life or plunge you into it. Which, let's face it, is pretty cool. But does that make it something you might actually want to buy? Well, that depends on whether there's more to the ZenFone AR than its virtual smarts. And fortunately, there sure is. Hello there. Compared to the monstrous Phab 2 Pro from Lenovo, the first handset to run Google's Tango AR platform, the ZenFone AR could almost be described as delicate. Alright, so 170 grams isn't exactly light, but it weighs a fair bit less than, say, an iPhone 7 Plus, 188 grams. It's certainly light enough that you won't need a neck massage at the end of a Daydream view session, thanks partly to its nice pleather back, very LG G4. While the Phab 2 Pro's 3 cameras, main, depth sensing, motion tracking, were arranged in a line down the middle of its rear, the ZenFone ARs are clustered at the top of the phone in what Asus is calling its tri-cam system. At first glance the placement looks odd, but a spokesperson explained to us that it's designed such that your fingers won't get in the way of the motion tracking camera, which has a fisheye lens. And indeed a little time with it confirmed that to be the case. The 5.7-in ZenFone AR is considerably smaller than the 6.4 in Phab 2 Pro, so using the latter's camera arrangement just wouldn't have worked. Speaking of the camera, the ZenFone AR's main eye is a 23MP monster with a 0.03 second autofocus in almost any lighting condition. We couldn't test that out because the lighting in the C's demo area ran from extremely bright to brighter than a summer's day on the surface of Mercury, but in those conditions the ZenFone AR predictably had no problem finding and fixing its focus quickly. It has several other photographer-friendly features, including the ability to shoot in RAW and the option to save up to 92MP high-resolution photos by combining 4 23MP ones. We've seen the latter kind of thing done before with varying degrees of success, though, so we'll reserve judgment on its usefulness until we spend more time with it. Of course, it also does 4K video recording and comes with 4-axis OIS to take the shake out of your shot, but these are all flagship snapper standards now. Flagship status. In fact, the word flagship is an apt one here for several reasons. The display, for instance, is of the Super AMOLED variety and has a 2K 1440 by 2560 resolution which, in our time with it, looked great. Under the hood lies a Snapdragon 821 processor and 8GB of RAM to make sure your memory-intensive AR and VR apps don't cause your phone to hang. It's the first handset to come with that much RAM, beating many smartphones that are probably waiting to launch at MWC to the punch. Remember when it was exciting that the OnePlus 3 was going to launch with 6GB last year? The bar has been raised again. It's also got a 3300 mAh juice box and up to 256GB of built-in storage, plus a micro SD slot for adding up to 2TB more. That might be overkill. Elsewhere on the port's front you get USB-C charging, while the headphone socket is, thankfully, present and correct. It's also kind of nice that the home is still a physical button with an integrated fingerprint sensor. All in all, it's kept enough of the old to make you feel comfortable about switching up, while also packing in enough new tech to make it feel exciting. R/VR. While mobile VR experiences aren't going to be winning any Best Production Emmys in the near future, the ZenFone AR's display was good enough in use that we might have recoiled a little when a great white came swishing through the water in the shark watching demo we opted for. The R part was what we were more looking forward to trying, though, especially that close-fitting app announced recently by Gap. Unfortunately, though, and quite weirdly too, we were told that there weren't any Tango apps available to try out in the demo area. That means that we'll have to withhold judgment on both Tango's implementation here but also the vapor cooling system this phone has in place to keep the heat at bay. Initial verdict. Even without the dual whammy of augmented and virtual reality tech, the ZenFone AR is an exciting phone. It certainly looks very nice, particularly compared to the previous Tango phone, the far chunkier Phab 2 Pro. It really is impressive that Asus has managed to pack all that tech into a smartphone this slim. You also get bags of power, an excellent screen and what promises to be a top camera. Obviously it might have some kind of major flaw that prevents it being a contender, but there's no reason why that should be the case, and on specs alone it's likely to be up there with the best. Throw the R/VR treats into the mix and you have a very interesting phone indeed, and one that we're looking forward to testing properly before its Q2 release.